Hello and welcome. In this video we're going to be replacing an electric water pump on a 2011 Toyota Prius. This is a third gen Toyota Prius and it's basically the same repair for model years 2010 to 2015. There's also the same procedure for a Lexus CT200h. We're going to start by removing this top cover off the engine. Pretty much it's held down by 3 rubber grommets. And then it might sound a little intimidating knowing that you're replacing an electric water pump on a hybrid vehicle. We're gonna go ahead and unclamp this. You can use your hand. But believe it or not, this is one of the easier water pumps on any Toyota model that you will replace. We're gonna go ahead and remove this one right here, and this one. So we're gonna remove the airbox silencer, the airbox itself, or air cleaner, however you want to call it, and don't necessarily have to remove the hose off the throttle body, so we'll just leave it here. Disconnect the mass airflow sensor right over here. So I'm going to start by removing all these 10mm bolts that are securing the top lid of the air cleaner box, and eventually I'll remove the silencer and then unbutton the overflow tank coolant hose. That's where it was connected. Now this may surprise you later on in the video when you're gonna see that I will be replacing the water pump with a used Toyota OEM pump. Now this was kind of a surprise to me as well. It was more of a favor for a friend that I did, and let me tell you why I did this. I was actually a little hesitant into uploading this video, but I said, you know what, this might be a good guidance for somebody that's pretty much trying to do this job. So I said, you know what, let's go for it. So here's what's going on with this 2011 Prius. At the time I recorded this video, it had about 7 or 6,000 miles shy of for 400,000 miles. It was about 393 and change. And the car was pretty much used as a transportation vehicle, driven every day in the southern part of Florida, all the way to the southern states of Alabama, Texas, and Louisiana. This was a car that literally had a lot of highway miles on it, and for some reason, I guess the water pump failed. I'm gonna use a 12mm and a ratchet to take this off. It had a code, if I'm not mistaken, it was a P261B. And it was just given a code for a bad water pump. So it was time to replace the water pump with a new one. However, these parts could be very, very expensive, and the person that owns this vehicle also has about 6 or 7 other Priuses. He didn't want to go and install a new water pump. At this point, he only drives his vehicles for no more than 400,000 miles, and then he had already made plans for this one. In fact, it was already going to a new owner, somebody who he knows that takes care of these cars. Looks like he already had plans for this car. He was gonna bring it to somebody who lives up almost 200 miles away from where we're at now, and basically that person is just already has a ready rebuilt new engine for it, a new hybrid battery, a couple other things here and there that was just pretty much gonna give this car a whole new brand new life. So he didn't want to spend that much money, and I understand him. And at the end of the day, I said, you know what? I'd rather go ahead and help him out and do it by installing a new used Toyota OEM pump rather than an aftermarket, or rather than one of those scam parts that you find online. And you know they claim to be Toyota, but they're not. So he did bring me a used OEM one with a receipt. And I said, you know what, let's just go ahead and do it. So this is pretty much what this video is about. Swapping out the water pump with a used one. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, it might sound a little intimidating at first when someone asks you to replace an electric water pump on your hybrid vehicle or under hybrid vehicle. But this is one of the easier pumps to be replaced on any Toyota. I've replaced numerous amounts of these pumps, and quite frankly, there's nothing to it. Really, honestly. There's not much at all. I mean, a typical water pump will have a pulley and it's driven by a belt, and then you have to operate the belt tensioner or adjust the dry belt in order to get the job done. This one, you don't even have to worry about that. All there is to it is just an electrical connector that you have to unplug, and you plug it back in, obviously, when you install the new one.
And the last one's right here.
So this is gonna be quite a fast video because I'm giving you a bird's eye view here of what I'm doing. And if you see me a few seconds ago, the only advice that I can give you is that whenever you place the catch pan that's gonna catch a lot of the coolant that's gonna drain out, make sure you position it correctly, because I'm doing this inside of the garage of my house, and yeah, I made a little bit of a mess here. So anyways, once that coolant is all drained out, I take a paper cloth, I clean the surface real well, make sure it's dry. There's no gasket maker here to be used or anything. The only thing you have to make sure is that that gasket that does come in the new water pump, obviously we're talking about a new used pump here, but in case that you are doing this with a brand new water pump, I hope just make sure that water pump gasket is completely seated in place, and you use that clean cloth or clean paper towel and get that surface area as clean as possible as you can, because you don't want anything to get stuck between that gasket and the surface area, because it's going to cause a leak. And pretty much this is all what we got to do here. We got to go in reverse order and just thread those bolts back in. Now when you put the new one back in, you want to make sure this gasket is back in there. Not, you got to do the job again. You can see I'm doing it by hand, and eventually when I got them all bolted on, I just use my ratchet and just crank them down. Now, once those bolts are already fastened, all we gotta do is return everything back where it belongs. So we're gonna start out by installing the bottom part of the airbox. I believe this one has 2 or 3 10mm bolts as well. And once you bolt that on, you put your air filter back in and just put the top of the air filter box back, and make sure you plug that mass airflow sensor back in, and eventually do the airbox silencer. And make sure that hose is routed correctly and clipped in where it should go, and everything should come out good. And eventually the last part we have to worry about is filling up the coolant system and bleeding a lot of the air out of the system. Now this Toyota Prius is pretty much a 1.8 liter engine. Is the same thing as a Toyota Corolla, and if you ever replace a water pump on a Toyota Corolla, you may have noticed that refilling the coolant is quite simple. This is pretty much one of those engines that has good coolant flow, good coolant circulation, so you don't have to worry about air getting trapped into the system. Make sure you fill that up, make sure you hear your radiator fans come in, make sure you're getting good heat inside the cabin. And after that, once the thermostat is opened up, then you put that lid back in and off she goes. Plug in our mass airflow sensor. Very important to do that. Now you know how to check the light on. Give it a good road test. In my case, I just plugged the scan tool back in and make sure that that code went to history, and we were good. Now I will highly suggest that if you are the typical DIYer and you're doing this at home and this video is giving you some kind of guidance, some kind of reference, please make sure that you're using a Toyota OEM water pump. This is the only way to go. I've seen a lot of cases where you get an aftermarket part for a car that's electronic, and eventually it gives you all kinds of issues. So I don't want to see you go down that road. If it has a higher price tag, just go for it, even though it is a little bit on the pricey side. Toyotas will take good care of you, and quite honestly, I don't recommend you going with an aftermarket one. Not necessarily on a Prius, I've seen it fail, but I have seen some of these parts fail on other cars. There it is. Third, and a fourth, fifth, and 6 bolts. No matter what order you sign up. Make sure it's tiny. Now put this back in. Use a little bit of lubricant. Now you can either take it off from here or from here, it doesn't really matter. Your preference. And that's it. Just gotta fill up our coolant. We're good to go. Again, I hope this video was helpful for you. I hope it provided guidance, some kind of reference on how to replace an electric water pump on a Toyota Prius or your Toyota Prius or your Lexus CT200h. So with that, I hope this video is informative. I hope you learned something new. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, so consider subscribing to the channel. Go and check out more of my other videos. And until next time, good to see you making progress. Best to you.